What's up, everybody? I'm Michael Allen, and this is the Movie Minute. This episode of the Movie Minute, we're talking about first responder thriller Asphalt City, and I was absolutely not prepared for this movie. So let's jump on in. Alright, so let's talk about Asphalt City, which is a little confusing because the film was initially called Black Flies, which is based on the book. And so, for some reason, they changed the name for American audiences, which I don't fully understand because Black Flies is a cooler name. The film stars Sean Penn, the dude's a legend, and Tye Sheridan, who I'm a big fan of Tye. I really enjoyed his performance in Ready Player One, and he was in a film called Voyagers that I also enjoyed. So what is Asphalt City about? It's really about Tye Sheridan's character, Ollie Cross, who is trying to become a doctor in New York City. He's studying to become a doctor, but in the meantime, he is a first responder. This film really makes you appreciate first responders, specifically EMTs. Just the amount of things that these people deal with is absolutely traumatizing. And that is this film. This film is fairly traumatizing. That's just a warning right now. We'll get into it a little bit later, but the film is intense. It truly is a thriller. Normal thrillers, you have a threat that is kind of threatening our characters and they're moving through, whether it's a crime mystery, crime thriller. But in this film, it's really like the actual profession is the thriller itself. And it's really, really unique. It's a very unique film, I will say that. I'm not going to say much else because I don't want to spoil it for you, so let's jump in and talk about what I liked. So first off, let's talk about the performances, because that definitely is the highlight of the film for me. Tye and Sean are very, very good together. There's just a really unique chemistry to this. Sean Penn's character plays kind of a mentor to Tye, and so there's this weird journey of a character arc as we're watching Sean Penn, Gene, kind of pour into this rookie EMT and kind of show him the ropes. There is some buddy-esque tropes going on in this film that are very interesting because they're done a little bit differently. Normally you see buddy stuff in the form of comedy a lot of the time, but this is in the form of thriller and it's done really, really interesting. Second of all, the sound design in this film is very, very good. The effort that the director put into the sound direction is really, really unique, and it definitely stresses you out. So it's hard to say that I really that it was a highlight of the film, but it was done very well. Much like The Zone of Interest, you think about how integral the sound was to the feelings that you were feeling in the movie as you sat there. There's a lot of similarities to this film. Also, just the depiction of the career was a highlight for me for this, only because it really made me appreciate EMTs on a much deeper level. It's one thing understanding oh yeah, I know what EMTs do, but it's another thing seeing it on screen and really understanding some of the mental trauma that goes on in this profession. And I thought that the director really did a good job portraying the realities of the job. And it is intense and it's brutal, and there is a lot of trigger warnings in this. I'm just warning you now. There is some very, very brutal moments in this film. Let's talk about a few of the things that I didn't like. I talked about the sound design. So now it's kind of funny because the sound design was so good, but the sound mixing was not good. There were moments in this film that I literally had to plug my ears in the movie theater because it was so loud. And not only was it loud, but it was like shrill. Like it hurt my eardrums, and specifically with the sirens. There's a lot of sirens in this film, and all the times that pops up, it's so distracting from the movie by how loud it is. This film has some pretty explicit scenes from a relational standpoint. So Ollie Cross kind of gets in a relationship with a girl, and ultimately it really speaks to a couple things that just don't make sense. Like that the relationship with Sean Penn is way more important, and this whole B story just didn't make a lot of sense. And then as well as like it just had a lot of nudity and explicit scenes that I felt uncomfortable with. And I know the film is French, it's a French director, and so they have different standards when it comes to this, and I don't like that in movies when they go really explicit, and I have to feel like I have to look away because it's just uncomfortable. So let's talk about ratings and badge. From an entertainment standpoint, I've kind of talked about this a little bit as a reviewer, but this film's not meant to be entertaining, it's meant to be educating. It's meant to educate about the first responder and the EMT profession and really help you have some empathy for those people. And I thought it did it really well. I mean, the film is intriguing and engaging. And so from that perspective, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. From a critic standpoint, how well it was executed in terms of script, narrative, sound mixing, and just some weird camera work as well in this film, it just wasn't really meshing super well for me. And so I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10 for critics. Honestly, it just wasn't working really well. And so averaged out a 6 out of 10 for me for Asphalt City. I think that from a badge standpoint, I definitely think this is like an Oscar bait-ish film. Like, it's very art house style. And so an Oscar bait makes sense for this film. Not that it will get nominated for any awards, but I mean, that was the initial intent, that art house indie feel. So at the end of the day, Asphalt City is intriguing and engaging at times, yet just not well executed. And so I think it's a movie you can wait on. It doesn't need to be seen in theaters, and it probably will be hitting streaming fairly soon, would be my guess. And so you can probably wait until then if that interests you. I do think it holds some value in the discussion of how much do we value emergency responders. And I did like that overall. If you like this review, hit that like button. Would love for you to subscribe to this channel and join this movie journey with me. And until next time, everybody, peace out.